Imagine walking in a vibrant forest, teeming with a myriad of life forms. Consider the chameleon, an animal admired for its uncanny knack to blend seamlessly into its surroundings, effectively becoming almost invisible. Now, let's take a journey from this forest into the fascinating yet complex world of human health. Here, we find an equally elusive entity: cervical cancer. This condition, often labeled the silent chameleon of diseases, artfully blends its symptoms with everyday health issues, making its detection a challenge. We embark today on a crucial endeavor to unmask the concealed colors of this medical chameleon, shedding light on its frequently unnoticed symptoms and creating ways to detect it before time runs out. What is cervical cancer? Cervical cancer, just like our metaphorical chameleon, can be a tricky beast to understand without some exploration. Imagine it as an unwanted visitor that slips into your body, establishing a stronghold in a location called the cervix, the bottom section of your uterus that links to the vagina. It doesn't just barge in, though. This condition often starts subtly, with certain cells in the cervix beginning to grow and divide in an uncontrolled way, eventually forming a tumor. A major contributor that's been pinpointed in the progression of this cancer is the human papillomavirus, otherwise known as HPV. Picture HPV as the enticing colors of the forest that lure the chameleon. Quite a few of us at one time or another contract HPV. The majority of HPV types are harmless, kind of like harmless germs on your hands, but a few types, like the rogue colors that disrupt the chameleon's disguise, can lead to changes in the cervical cells. Over time, if left undetected or untreated, these alterations can develop into cervical cancer. The reason why it's often dubbed as a silent disease is its ability to develop over years without causing any noticeable symptoms. Its initial stages are often symptomless, making it difficult to spot without regular screenings. Here's where the epithet of a silent chameleon gains relevance. However, fear not, this journey is about unmasking this elusive condition. We're here to shed light on the understated symptoms and equip you with the knowledge to outsmart this crafty creature of the medical world. Top 5 hidden symptoms. Just as chameleons blend seamlessly into their surroundings, the symptoms of cervical cancer often masquerade as common health issues, making them easy to dismiss. Let's delve into the top 5 overlooked symptoms, giving you the know-how to see through this chameleon's disguise. Number 1. Abnormal vaginal bleeding. Picture a serene forest scene, suddenly interrupted by a vibrant flash of color. This is akin to irregular bleeding. Most women experience regular menstrual cycles, but when cervical cancer comes into play, there may be unexpected disruptions. This can manifest as bleeding between periods, after sexual intercourse, or post-menopause. It's easy to mistake this for a harmless hormonal fluctuation, but remember, it's one of the colors our silent chameleon uses for its disguise. 2. Unusual vaginal discharge. This is another symptom that can be mistaken for a typical health issue. Picture a chameleon altering its hues in reaction to a shift in its surroundings. In a similar vein, changes in the color, consistency, or smell of vaginal discharge could indicate cervical cancer. Pay attention to these subtle shifts. They are the chameleon trying to blend in. Number 3. Pain during intercourse. Discomfort or pain during sex can be a sign of several conditions, making it another ideal camouflage for our silent chameleon. While it might be tempting to attribute this to temporary factors or other common ailments, persistent pain warrants attention and a discussion with your healthcare provider. 4. Pelvic pain. Now, think of a chameleon's habitat. The pain caused by cervical cancer isn't confined to one small area. It can be felt in the whole pelvic region, similar to how a chameleon influences its entire environment. Unexplained, persistent pelvic pain, especially when it's not associated with menstrual cycle, can be another hidden symptom. 5. Increased urinary frequency. Finally, frequent urination can be a warning sign. If you find yourself making constant trips to the bathroom without a significant increase in fluid intake, It might be our silent chameleon trying to blend in. Although this could be a sign of various other conditions, it's always prudent to err on the side of caution and seek advice from your healthcare provider if you discern a recurring pattern. These symptoms are the colors that our silent chameleon uses in its attempt to blend in with its environment, your body. Being aware of these subtle shifts can equip you with the ability to spot the chameleon and take action. Nevertheless, it's vital to keep in mind that these symptoms might also link to conditions other than cervical cancer. Should you observe any of these indications, stay calm. Consult with a healthcare expert who can steer you on the correct path. The global impact of cervical cancer. To fully grasp the scale of the danger posed by cervical cancer, let's delve into some recent data. As per the World Health Organization, cervical cancer ranks as the fourth most prevalent cancer in women worldwide, with an alarming 604,000 new cases and a shocking 342,000 deaths in the year 2020 alone. This isn't a remote problem or one that affects only a select few. Its impact is wide-ranging, and it's here, right now. Even more worrisome is that approximately 90% of these new instances and fatalities took place in low to middle-income nations. This highlights the importance of healthcare access and health education in these regions. To properly identify our adversary, it's worthwhile noting that two strains of human papillomavirus, HPV, specifically 16 and 18, account for nearly half of all high-grade cervical precancers. These little villains are more common than we think, and their consequences can be severe. The threat multiplies for certain populations too. Consider, for instance, women who live with HIV. They bear a risk 6 times higher of developing cervical cancer compared to women who don't have HIV. This emphasizes the importance of integrating cervical cancer screening and prevention into HIV care programs. Shifting focus to the United States, each year we witness roughly 13,000 new cervical cancer diagnoses, and tragically, about 4,000 women succumb to this cancer. We share these figures not to instill fear, but to raise your awareness of the stark reality we confront, a reality we hold the capacity to alter. Now, why are we on this mission to spot the chameleon in the dense forest of our bodies? It's because this silent creature, cervical cancer, holds potential dangers if left unnoticed or ignored. While the chameleon itself is a harmless creature, our metaphorical chameleon, cervical cancer, is far from benign. It's a grave ailment, but understanding the risks empowers you with the tools to confront it directly. If cervical cancer goes undetected in the early stages, it can advance into more serious stages, complicating treatment. Think of it as the chameleon fully adapting to its environment, getting harder to spot. The longer we allow this chameleon to blend in, the bigger the challenges we might face in managing it. Now, let's think back to our list of top 5 symptoms. When these symptoms are ignored or overlooked, it provides the perfect backdrop for our silent chameleon to merge and grow. The aim here isn't to cause fear, but to emphasize the importance of heeding these signs, taking them as potential signals rather than dismissing them as common health issues. It's also essential to note the role of regular health screenings, such as Pap tests and HPV tests. Imagine having a chameleon spotting guide while wandering in our metaphorical forest. These screenings act as that guide, helping spot the changes in the cervix even before any symptoms appear. They are our first line of defense, the infrared goggles that can see the chameleon's true colors. Let's not overlook the strength inherent in shared experiences. Real-life anecdotes, without sharing any personal details, play a crucial role in creating awareness. For instance, a woman had persistent pelvic pain, and she dismissed it as a symptom of her stressful routine. When she ultimately chose to seek advice from her healthcare provider, she was found to be in the early stages of cervical cancer. The bright side? She caught the chameleon in time, and her treatment was successful. These stories underscore the fact that the threat is real. However, with awareness, early detection, and immediate action, we're capable of spotting this silent chameleon and mitigating its effects. It's a reality check we all need, not to instill fear, but to arm us with awareness and prompt action. How to lower your risk. Let's think back to our metaphorical forest, brimming with chameleons. Can we safeguard the forest, making it less appealing for the chameleons? Yes, there is. In our body's complex ecosystem, there are strategies we can adopt to lower the risk of the silent chameleon, cervical cancer. One impactful measure you can adopt is to get immunized against HPV, the principal culprit behind cervical cancer. Picture this as changing the colors of the forest, making it less appealing to the chameleon. The HPV vaccine serves as a guard, shielding your body from the high-risk variants of HPV that could result in cervical cancer. Next, consider the role of regular screenings. The PAP test and HPV test are your personal chameleon spotting tools. They can detect any changes in your cervical cells before they turn into cancer. Remember, our chameleon likes to blend in. These tests help you see through its disguise. Don't forget the importance of safe sexual practices. As HPV can be transmitted sexually, using protection and having a limited number of sexual partners can reduce the risk. We must also give thought to our lifestyle choices, which hold significant sway over overall health and cancer prevention. Habitual exercise, keeping a healthy weight, and a balanced diet rich in fruits and vegetables can bolster your body's defensive systems. Think of these as nurturing the health of the forest, making it resilient to any unwelcome visitors. Lastly, do not downplay the impact of smoking. It has been associated with an elevated risk of cervical cancer. So quitting smoking or avoiding it altogether is like removing the chameleon's favorite hiding spots, making it harder for the creature to settle in. By following these steps, you're creating an environment in your body that is less inviting for cervical cancer. You're learning the silent chameleon's tactics and devising strategies to keep it at bay. Yet keep in mind, this is not about perpetually fearing the chameleon. It's about equipping yourself with the knowledge and means to safeguard your health. As we reach the end of our journey through the metaphorical forest, it's essential to reflect on the mission we embarked upon, understanding and identifying the silent chameleon, cervical cancer. We have uncovered its favorite hiding spots, the often overlooked symptoms, and have identified ways to protect ourselves from this silent invader. The critical takeaway here is the power of awareness. Think of it as having a well-lit forest where chameleons find it hard to blend in. By being aware of the symptoms and risk factors, we're armed with a flashlight to spot any signs of this silent chameleon. Also remember, it's not about persistently dwelling in worry. It's about being vigilant so we can promptly act if needed. Preventative measures like the HPV vaccine and regular screenings are our tools to detect the chameleon early or even keep it at bay. It's as if we have an anti-chameleon shield in this forest. But we also must remember the significant role our lifestyle choices play in our health. A healthy diet, regular exercise, safe sexual practices, and avoiding smoking can help nurture our body's forest, keeping it strong and resilient against any unwelcome chameleons. The journey to understand this silent chameleon, cervical cancer, does not end here. It's a continual journey, a pledge to preserve our health and wellness. Remember, the objective is not to instill fear, but to promote understanding, awareness, and empowerment. Furthermore, this isn't a voyage you have to undertake solo. Share this knowledge with your loved ones. Help them understand the silent chameleon and the ways to spot it. Because ultimately, the more observers we have in the forest, the more challenging it becomes for the chameleon to remain concealed. Let's stand together for our health and be ready to spot any silent chameleon that might come our way. Have you been experiencing these cervical cancer symptoms? Do you know anybody who's been through it? Let us know in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. Did you enjoy this video? Hit like and subscribe to Incredibly Healthy. If you want to know more about other cancers that affect women, go ahead and check out these 10 hidden cancer signs that women shouldn't ignore. Thanks for watching. Until next time.